เจ้าแม่จะใช้อภินิหารเสกให้คู่รักได้ตกท่าตุแท้ของกันและกัน
At the beginning of episode 4, we see Nat floating in a swimming pool. Panicked, Dao jumps in to help, but she doesn't know how to swim and starts drowning, prompting Nat to quickly rescue her and help her out of the pool. Dao then asks, "Were you drowning just now?" But Nat replies that he was just relaxing and asks, "Why did you jump in if you can't swim?" Dao explains that she thought he was drowning and was trying to save him. She then asks, "Why were you floating face down?" 8 years later, Dao asks Nat what he was just thinking about, to which he replies that he has a confession to make. Dao becomes serious, but then Nat says, "Today, I've been craving steamed squid." Dao laughs and tells him he scared her as she thought it was something serious. She then says they'll go eat the squid, but she needs to use the restroom first, and tells him she'll meet him at the shrine. After she leaves, he checks his email and reads a message offering him an architect position. Later, at the shrine, Nat glances at the statue and comments, "She creeps me out every time," to which Dao says, "If the old lady hears that, she'll definitely curse you." Dao then approaches the woman and asks for 2 sets, to which she asks, "Do you know how to pray to the goddess?" Dao explains that they come often, mentioning that they run a villa on Black Hills Beach nearby. She adds that her boyfriend is starting a new project there, so she came from Bangkok to check it out, and she's sure she met him because of her prayer to the goddess. The woman asks, "How long have you two been together?" To which Dao replies, "Almost 8 years, and it all started back in college." Nat says, "Shall we go?" But the woman stops him and says, "People these days don't really know the background of this place. They come to worship just for the sake of it. And since you visit often, do you know the true legend of the Black Hills goddess?" She continues, "She was the daughter of a fishmonger who fell in love with a prince. A forbidden, cross-class love, but pressured by the elders, she chose to end her life to escape the pain. It became a famous story of tragic love, inspiring couples to come here and pray ever since. But that's not the whole story. The prince was already betrothed, and after his affair with the goddess, he abandoned her. But he couldn't escape the consequences of his betrayal. The goddess returned to the prince and his fiancé's home. She conjured a storm and used it like a blade to cut him to the bone, and all the secrets he had hidden were exposed." She asks, "Have you ever seen fish being scored with long cuts down their skin? That's what happened to both of them." She says, "This is the true identity of the goddess. She believes love is a matter of life and death, and sometimes she uses her power to reveal lovers' true natures. So think carefully before making a wish, because you might end up seeing something you never wanted to." The couple then prays to stay devoted and honest with each other, asking the goddess for eternal love. Afterward, they shake their fortune boxes, causing a single stick to fall from each of their boxes, and to their surprise, both draw sticks marked with the number 12. They then check the message corresponding to the number, and Nat reads it first. But he tells Dao it's all smudged and quietly puts it back in its place, saying, "Let's go, so we won't get home late." Dao believes him and walks away. But it's revealed that the message reads, "Your love will suffer if you keep your troubles hidden. Stay silent, and you may lose it entirely." A flashback reveals that Nat received a job offer from Sweden, which he has been keeping a secret from Dao. Next, on a video call, Dao Dads praises Nat's work on the villa and reveals plans to build a new resort in Phuket. He says Nat will lead the design, and they'll discuss details soon. Nat wrestles with whether to tell Dao the truth, but before he can say a word, she interrupts with a video of their friend's wedding anniversary, noting it's been 2 years. She goes on, "Back when we just graduated, whenever someone got married, I thought it was way too soon, like they were scared of losing their partners." Then she adds, "Let's stay together forever and run the resort until we're old." Later, Nat is lying by the swimming pool when the soft sound of wind chimes suddenly catches his attention, and as he sits up, he sees the goddess standing at a distance, and fear washes over him at the sight. That night, as Nat closes the door, he once again sees the goddess standing outside the villa. Scared, he quickly shuts the door and turns to leave. He turns off the lights and rushes to head upstairs, but Dao asks him to bring water for her. Nat quickly grabs a bottle and glass and heads up the stairs, but suddenly, he senses the goddess is now near the swimming pool. Just then, Dao interrupts, asking, "Did you hear me?" and then walks upstairs, and when Nat glances back, the goddess is gone. When Nat comes upstairs, he notices Dao is not in the room, but the bathroom tap is running. He walks in and turns it off, and suddenly hears someone sobbing. He turns to find Dao standing in the corner, terrified, and at that moment, the wind chimes begin to ring. As Nat looks toward the sound, the goddess emerges from the shadows. Panicked, they rush downstairs to flee the villa, only to find the goddess blocking the front door. As they step back, she approaches them, and Nat tries to pull Dao away, but she stumbles and falls, and in horror, she watches as raindrops slice through Nat like blades. He collapses, staring in shock at his injuries, but when Dao crawls and rushes to him, the wounds on his body miraculously vanish. The goddess then approaches them and throws a paper containing a message in front of them. She stares at Nat, who picks up the paper and reads it aloud. "Don't keep any secrets in your hearts. Share everything that's hidden and don't try to run away. If you want to stay safe and alive, be honest with each other." Dao asks Nat, "What's this about?" But he remains silent, to which the goddess slowly reaches out toward Dao's neck to grab it. Dao says, "Don't," and the goddess pauses, then laughs as she pulls her hand back, and just like that, she disappears. Nat tells Dao that last year he sent his portfolio to a company in Sweden, and they offered him a job, which he accepted. He reminds her that he's always wanted to go abroad, and now has the chance. He then asks if she would let it go. Dao questions if he's leaving her to run the resort alone, to which he says she loves the place and wants to stay forever, but she insists he should be there too. She then tells him that earlier that morning, she had prayed for clarity about their future. She asks if he has ever imagined them getting married, to which Nat remains silent, prompting Dao to burst into tears before getting up and going inside the villa. Later, the goddess appears behind her and covers her eyes, causing her to wake up in the past. She notices it's a boy balloons on the wall, as her friend thanks her for always letting her use the place. From the freshman party to her baby shower, Dao, confused, wonders what's going on, but her friend then asks where Nat is, and if they had a fight. Dao says no, and at that moment, her friend transforms into the goddess and asks when the wedding will be. Dao, shocked, sees the goddess holding Nat, and the goddess asks Dao to repeat what she told her friends that day on her baby shower. Dao hesitates, then recalls saying, "Do you know why I haven't seen you much lately? I envy you too. Why can't Nat and I be like you? I've been feeling suffocated. My feelings for him are fading, and I just want us to talk like we used to. After marriage, do you love each other more? If it helps us open up, then maybe we should get married, as it's better than losing him." Back in the present, Dao begs Nat to say something, but he gets up to leave. She tries to stop him, saying she just didn't want him to go, and asks if they can return to how things used to be. She insists she's revealed everything, but Nat, in a demonic voice, asks, "Revealed it all like this?" and peels off his face, causing Dao to collapse in shock. As he approaches, she pleads for him to go away, and then suddenly wakes up in the past, with her father sitting beside her. But it's actually the goddess who asks, "What else do you two have to tell me?" The goddess prompts Dao to start, but when she hesitates, the goddess suggests talking about Nat's job. In a flashback, Dao asks her dad about a job opening and mentions Nat has been job hunting without success. When her dad suggests she talk to Nat, she says he wouldn't want a job she arranged. Her dad reveals he's already spoken to someone, and Dao asks if Nat could be hired at their resort, admitting she feels sorry for him and wants to ease his stress. Dao tells Nat she was just worried about him back then and asks if he can understand, but Nat responds sharply, asking if she's saying he got to where he is because she pitied him. He then reveals her dad had already spoken to him before she ever brought it up. Nat recalls her father when he fell ill, asking him, if something happens to me, how will Dao survive? I know you've applied for a job in Sweden, but can you stay with her for my sake for the time being? Suddenly, the goddess disappears, and Nat tells Dao she should know he never got to go anywhere because of her. Dao reminds him he said he was turned down, to which Nat asks if she expected him to admit giving up his dream for her. Nat snaps that he applied for the job abroad as his last chance to escape the life he felt trapped in with her. Dao asks how she let things get so far, and then says he isn't even the right one for her. She admits that day she just needed someone, anyone, and somehow ended up tangled in a life with him. However, after a while, the goddess appears and whispers into Dao's ear, asking, "But wasn't it you who prayed for him to be stuck here with you?" Dao gets up to flee, but Nat asks, "What did you pray for?" Dao's face gets peeled by the rain, and after a moment of hesitation, she admits that when they started dating, she asked the goddess to do whatever it took to keep him with her forever. But she hadn't realized that this would mean sacrificing everything, including his dream to study abroad and work in Sweden. Only recently did she understand that, without her in those plans, everything fell apart. She apologizes, saying she just didn't want him to leave, but Nat pushes her into the pool. Nat tries to drown her, demanding, "Give me back those 8 years." But suddenly, the screen goes dark, and after a while, Nat freezes and lets Dao go. The scene shifts back 8 years, showing Nat facing downward in the pool. Dao jumps in to save her, but Nat manages to rescue Dao and pull her out. Nat asks Dao if she has nothing better to do, to which Dao explains that she is on patrol and that this is her family's resort. She then asks why he was facing down in the pool, to which Nat says he was heartbroken, and when Dao asks if he's willing to share, he tells her about his first girlfriend. They'd been together since 9th grade, and he always thought she would be his last, but she didn't feel the same way. He ended up knowing the truth because of his best friend, and then his friend left with his ex. That's why he was alone in the pool until she jumped in just now. Dao says, "That freaking hurts," saying, "I can't believe that happened right here at our faculty." She admits she barely knows what's really going on, and that she's just someone whose family owns a resort where they hold freshman parties. She confesses she wants to understand how people with lots of friends feel, and that she wants friends too, someone to talk to, someone to share with, but she can handle being alone. Nat replies, "Maybe it's not about the number," saying if you have someone who stays with you, listens to you, understands you, and grows with you, that should be good enough. Back in the present, Nat and Dao reconcile. Nat receives a welcome email from the company in Sweden, but just then, the wind chimes ring, and he catches a glimpse of the goddess in the side mirror. He shows the email to Dao, who reassures him, saying they will figure things out. As he starts the car, the goddess disappears, and in the final scene, the old lady is revealed to be the goddess, ending the episode.